Determine whether the function is odd, even, or neither. If it's even or odd, use symmetry to sketch the graph. So if you remember, just like the last video, we have, if I plug in a negative x and I come out with the same function, it's going to be even. If I plug in a negative x and I end up with the negative of that function, it'll be odd. So here I'm going to plug in a negative x, and we end up getting negative x cubed minus a negative x. Well, negative x times negative x times negative x is still negative x cubed. And a negative times a negative is going to be a positive x. Now, if you factor out a negative out of both of this, you'll get negative x cubed minus x. And if you notice, this right here is exactly the same thing as this right here, but I have a negative out here, which means I end up getting the negative of my original function, which means that this function right here is odd. So now let's graph it. So since I don't know what this is going to look like, I'm going to plot a bunch of x points, and we're going to get out our f of x. Well, I'm going to do 0, 1, and 2. And we're not going to do negatives because I know what it's going to look like on the other side if it's odd. So 0, f of 0, is 0 cubed minus 0, which is going to be 0. F of 1 is going to be 1 cubed minus 1, which is going to be 0. And then I get f of 2, which is going to be 2 cubed minus 2. Well, 2 cubed is going to be 8 minus 2, it's going to be 6. So we end up getting 0, 0, and 6. So that's going to be here, here, and here. Now, here's the problem. I kind of don't know what's happening in between here, so I'm going to have to do one more. So I'm going to do 1/2. So f of 1/2 is 1/2 cubed minus 1/2. Well, 1/2 cubed is going to be 1/8 minus 1/2. Get a common denominator, 4, so we get 1/8 minus 4/8, which ends up being negative 3/8. So I have negative 3/8 here. So if I graph that, it's going to be right here. It's not quite going to be a half. So I know that this is going to look something like this. Now what I know is that it's odd. So even means it would do this. Odd means it's going to do exactly opposite on this side of the line. So instead of going to negative 3/8, I'm going to go to positive 3/8. So that's going to be about right here. And this is still going to be 0. And then instead of going to 6 at 2, so this is 2, 6, this is going to be 2, negative 6. So that's going to be down here. So it's going to look something like this. Now, if you notice, if I rotated this 180 degrees, it would land on itself, which means it is odd.